Welcome to the Becoming You show with me, your host, Leah Roling. Do you believe you are capable of choosing your future? Sometimes it takes just one person to believe in you, or you to believe in yourself. If you find yourself continuing to say, someday I will take better care of myself, only to continue living the same day over and over and over again, then you, my friend, are in the right place. I am your biggest cheerleader, inspiring you to become you on purpose and with intention. Are you ready to create a life you love? I'm excited to share with you some big ideas that you can use today to inspire, impact, and influence your life and everyone in it. The Becoming You show starts now. Hello, my friends. How are we doing? Better than that, how are we feeling? Have you ever really taken the time to ask? Today, I'm going to talk about a topic that I speak a lot about, but I don't really think that as a society we do, not at least in the way that I'm going to talk about it today. And that is sharing our feelings, our true, authentic feelings in a way to connect with one another and ourselves. I'm not very good at titling these. I'm not a wordsmith like a lot of my other favorite fun podcasters that I follow, but this one was titled, Don't Be Numb. And I really want us all to awaken up to the feelings that is life. And I thought I would share a recent story around my complaint issue that I had not too long ago, but I feel like we're either numb or we're complaining. And there's for sure a complaining culture that we connect to and with, but I want you to be onto yourself because we no doubt have gotten really good at complaining. We complain about other people and how they're doing it wrong. We complain about our kids and how they're doing it wrong. We complain about how busy and tired we are. We complain about how big our thighs are and how our bags under our eyes are seriously cause for concern, along with the wrinkles and the gray. And I was thinking about this, but have you ever noticed how often you find yourself complaining? If you've never done a complaint audit, it's actually super fascinating because I would like to think of myself as a pretty positive, optimistic person. I wouldn't have thought that I do much complaining, but I thought for the purpose of this episode, I would keep track of my complaints on my flight home from Aruba as I was thinking about how I wanted to introduce this conversation today. And here they were. I had complaints about being cold. I had complaints about being hot, of having to go to the bathroom, of having a tight back, of needing a massage, of not having enough room on my tray for my Diet Coke and computer. Yes, it is my guilty airplane pleasure. Sitting in the runway for 20 minutes longer to allow for delayed boarding, feeling bloated from the indulgence of the vacation. Now, I didn't share these with my husband, except maybe the cold one, but my brain, for some reason, made sure to note the grievances. And yet, I was flying home from an amazing vacation where I got to hang out with some incredible human beings and some of my favorites in all the world. And I was getting ready to fly home to our home to see my kids and my dog and start a new week refreshed and ready to go. But my mind didn't ruminate much on all of that. And I was thinking, what gives? And here's what I realized. I realized a couple of things. I realized that while I was on vacation, I did not do my journaling or gratitude the highlights for the week. I also did not move my body in a way that I usually do. I felt disconnected to my kids and from my family and my other friends that weren't there. I also witnessed a lot of complaining on the trip, not necessarily with our crew, but as an avid people watcher, I could tell there were a lot of unhappy people and unhappy couples out there. Honestly, I watched a wife go postal on her husband for rearranging the beach bag. Apparently, she couldn't find what she needed and she went off on him. And I had the front row seat for that one. And I was thinking, if you can't have fun in Aruba, right, then that's their own fault. But friends, that's judgment. That is also a form of complaining. And why does any of this matter anyway? Because our routines, physically, relationally, mentally, that make up the day by day experiences of our life affect our emotional health. It affects how we show up. It affects our attitude. It affects our confidence. It affects the care and the connection that we have with ourselves and others. It affects our feelings and whether or not we are feeling, quote, fit. So for the sake of this episode, I want to talk about emotional health by breaking down what I believe to be the components of emotional fitness. Because just like we have components of our physical fitness, cardio, strength, flexibility, balance, agility, and I shared last week the components of mental fitness, we also have components of emotional fitness. So take a gauge real quick, take a check. How emotionally fit would you say you are? The first component of emotional fitness is our emotional threshold. When I think of threshold, I think of the ability to both feel feelings and share feelings, the ability to love and to be loved, to care for and be cared for. That is your heart threshold. And if you've listened to my podcast before, you will know that I was not fit in this area at all. I could run miles and miles and miles a day, but I had zero capacity to feel. I completely shut off my heart to feel anything. I think for me, existence was easier without the burden of feelings. I think deep down, I almost felt undeserving of having them. If I didn't feel, I wouldn't be inadequate. I think somewhere in my psychology, I equated negative feelings, anger, frustration, resentment, to something has gone wrong, that something is bad, that there was something wrong with me, that I was wrong, that I was bad. So if I didn't feel, then I wasn't wrong, I wasn't bad. And so I was always fine and never fine. But that was just between me and myself. This lack of existence created a sense of self that was numb, indifferent, apathetic, and uninspired. Oh, I pretended, don't get me wrong. It's not like I connected with anyone with my true emotions. No, I wouldn't wanted to put them out. I'm sure their emotions were way more important than mine. Plus, it would just be awkward to bring forth my own truth when it was much easier to live in everybody else's. I have made emotional wellness a value of mine. Feeling feelings and navigating, holding space for them is an imperative in my life. And when I find myself go numb, I know that I'm out of alignment. My rule in this area of my life is when I have a feeling, I will journal about what that feeling is teaching me, where that feeling is being felt in my body, why that feeling is essential for me to feel completely and authentically. When I'm not feeling, when I'm not in touch with my feelings, I ask the exact same questions. So how do you know when you're not feeling? You ask. It looks like this. Leah, what are you feeling right now? And if nothing comes up other than the obligatory fine, I'm out of alignment with my truth, at least for me. Other people's fine isn't riddled in a lie like mine. If you can say fine and you're just fine and you're really fine, then by all means. But my fine, I know, is never a fine. What I realize is that truth is messy sometimes. Truth is not always angelic and righteous and good necessarily. Truth is the full expression of the human existence, good and bad, happy and sad, compassionate and frustrated. And when we run from this truth, our truth, we literally run from our own life, finding ourselves out of existence. So don't be numb. The second component of emotional fitness is what I'm going to call emotional intelligence. There is an entire science and study of EQ that I've had the privilege of going through, but I'll spare you the scientific details of it, and I'll just highlight what I think is imperative for this particular conversation. But according to Daniel Goleman, he's an American psychologist who has helped to popularize emotional intelligence, EQ. There are 5 elements to it. The first one is self-awareness. The second one is self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. But emotional intelligence to me is the ability to navigate the full range of our humanity and the world of emotions, which allows you to reorient your emotions for positive results. Knowing how to do this will support you not only in your profession, but it will also empower you to live a better and more balanced life. So here are some of the characteristics of an emotionally intelligent person. And as I go through them, can you self-assess where you fall without judgment? Are you a 5, meaning that you show high EQ in that area, or you are a 1? And all a 1 means is that there's lots of room for growth. So here are the 5 characteristics of emotionally intelligent people. The first characteristic is they embrace change. They don't see change as something to fear, rather something to celebrate, something that will help them tap into the fullness and the richness of life. Change will no doubt require emotions that will challenge your comfort, but in doing so will help you broaden the full emotional experience of what it means to be a human. Number 2, they have a strong sense of self, meaning they know who they are. They embrace their strengths and their weaknesses. They have explored the essence of who they are, so they know their values, their mission, their purpose, and they confidently share their gifts to the world. They also know where they fall short and where support, mentorship, coaching are required to help them optimize the best of who it is that they are. So again, 1 being, I don't really have a strong sense of self. I kind of feel numb most days. Or 2 or 5, pardon, I have a very strong sense of self. I know who I am. I know my values. I set my boundaries. I operate within my own set of rules, not rules that were passed down from my ancestors, but I created them. I defined them. 1 to 5, where do you fall? The third component of emotional fitness as it relates to emotional IQ is they are empathetic towards others and themselves. When you have a strong sense of self and you acknowledge your emotions as indicators, teachers of your struggle, you can better connect with others dealing with their own unique challenges and situations and support them lovingly without judgment, without criticism, without complaining. They also care about how their actions affect other people, and they're proactive in quote unquote feeling through possible outcomes. Again, just assess yourself there. Empathetic, absolutely. 5, I could work here. I could up level. I could skill up my empathy towards, maybe it's not necessarily others, but I'm guessing we all could skill up on our empathy towards ourselves. 4th characteristic is that they think about progress over perfection. They are no longer striving for an unattainable state. Rather, they accept themselves for who they are. And it is in this acceptance that they pursue self-improvement and personal development and self-mastery as a lifelong journey and a daily practice. So again, progress over perfection. 1, still stuck trying to be a perfectionist. Or 5, yes, I have learned that progress is the way. The last component of emotional intelligence as it relates to our conversation around emotional fitness is they have balanced lives, not in ours necessarily, but in all aspects of life: physical, mental, emotional, relational, career. They understand the consequences of burnout and the importance of self-care in order to attain their goals and live abundantly without judgment. Where do you fall on the spectrum of any of these? Where can you be a little bit more open to change, perhaps even seek it out? And I'm not talking about changing things outside of you. Where can you create a better self-awareness practice? Where can you listen more than you respond? Where can you create on purpose more balance in your life by honoring the entirety of your essence? The 3rd component of emotional fitness is emotional set points. Knowing the emotions that you operate on from day to day is important for your emotional health. It's like knowing certain metrics for your physical health, like blood pressure or HRV or cholesterol, etc. Emotional set points are very much like weight set points. The body fights to keep equilibrium. It fights for consistency of experience. Think about your weight. If you are like me, you can go on a vacation, which just happened to me, and gain 5+ pounds. And without really doing much when you get back, you can drop those 5 pounds pretty easily. Similarly to losing weight. I don't know, have you ever gotten sick? You can lose 5 pounds pretty easily, only to gain it all back, again, without doing much differently. We have our set points to thank for that. So in order to get new results in any of these areas, we need to hack the set point. Most people's emotional set points are made up of 3 to 4 emotions, some positive, some negative. The work with emotional health is to know which emotions impact the progress that you seek. For some, having calm is impactful in their life. For others, it's enthusiasm. And yet for others, it's care. What emotions do you operate from on the daily? And what emotions would you benefit the most from having? I know for me, I work hard on the feelings of both curiosity and commitment. I want to operate from these two the best that I can. Curious gets me out of judgment. Commitment gets me out of procrastination and indecision. Both of these help me make the progress on the goals that I have in my life right now. So I want you to start with where in your life you're not getting the results that you want. Identify what behaviors you would need in order to get there. And then from there, work backwards on what the emotion fueling that behavior would have to be. For example, If you're disconnected with your kiddo and in the action line, right, you're judging and ruminating and you're distancing yourself all out of frustration, how can we get out of frustration? When we notice it is the frustration that is disconnecting us from our children, not actually our children, we can go to work on a different, more empowering emotion, one like compassion or even like curiosity. We should ask ourselves very frequently and regularly, how do we want to feel every single day? What feeling feels the best to you? What feeling is going to help you make progress, move the needle forward? And it's only when you identify what that is that you can actually start the work on cultivating that emotion for yourself. Number 4, emotional reflexes. How do you react to feelings? When I think about this one, I think about the DTR. It's the reflex that the doctor checks by tapping your knee. I think it's called like the patellar or knee jerk reflex, but they tap the knee and your leg kicks forward automatically, unconsciously. And I think for so many of us, we react the same way to our emotions. We allow our emotions to dictate our kicks. When we get angry, we lash out. When we get frustrated, we raise our voice. When we become resentful, we hide, avoid, or get defensive. When we don't like our situation in some way or another, we either fight or flight. This is our sympathetic system, our stress response in action. And when we allow for our emotions to rule the way, we become a puppet in the performance. We forget that our emotions, if we direct the reflex, is an indicator of what is going on for us internally, not a dictator of how we should react externally. When we forget that our feelings are for us to feel and not for us to project, we become 10 times more effective in every single area of our life. We get to write our story as opposed to performing on default. How you either react to or sit with your emotions will determine your ultimate success in every single area. Your emotions are your best teachers. So it's super important that we get fit in this area. If you're frustrated, instead of going within and asking why you're frustrated, and instead take it out on your kids, you miss out a connection with you and your connection with your child. You miss out on an opportunity to explore what else could be true. I recently just did this with my youngest. I know that he's trying to find his newfound independence as a big middle schooler. Our relationship looks a little different for sure. But what was most interesting to me when I looked deeper within myself, what I realized is my relationship with me had changed. When I didn't feel as wanted, as needed, or as important to Max, I made it mean that I wasn't important, wanted, or needed. And I began to look for all the ways that I wasn't, all the ways that I was inadequate, all the ways that I was not being the best version of myself. And I assure you, I found them. And just as our brain does, I self-prophesized it, making the situation worse for everyone. Falling out of alignment feels awful. And it can be a very slippery slide into self-judgment and self-ridicule and self-hate. Or for me, sometimes it feels numb. It feels as if I'm incapable of feeling anything at all. And when I realized that I was numb, I did some quick work with my coach. Yes, I have one. Yes, I will always have one. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3. I say it a lot, but I will say it again. I truly believe that the health of your brain is paramount to the health of your life, your relationships, your success, your money, your abundance. And if you have a brain, you have blind spots. And they're called blind spots for a good reason. You cannot see them. You cannot see your brain in your brain. If we could, we would not sabotage our results. We would do what we know. We would have all the success imaginable. We would literally have everything we want. And the reason why we don't is because we have unexamined brains. That's it. And it's enough. The last component of emotional health is emotional wealth, emotional abundance. It's the welcoming of all the feelings, the embracing of and the accepting of all of the feelings that are available to you when you allow them to be. I truly believe that the better we can be at recognizing the emotion by name, whatever it is, without all the judgment that we shouldn't be feeling this way or that way, acknowledging it, that it is emotion, that's it, no more, no less, a vibration created in the body, created out of our perspective of our experiences, based on our lens of the past, or consciously chosen by the choice of our present, and processing it through is the epitome of emotional health. Your emotional health is the biggest determining factor as to whether or not you will or you won't get the results in your life. And if that is true, and I believe that it is, it becomes imperative that you know your threshold, that you know that your emotional intelligence, that you know your set points, the emotions that you operate from on the daily, that you understand the metrics, i.e. your reflexes, and the overall wealth of your emotions. These components, just like the ones of physical fitness, need to be practiced and understood and developed. And as always, if you want help in this area or any other area of health, hop on a strategy call with me. You can grab one at my website at leahroling.com, and you can get on the wait list for an upcoming money and mindset membership, or you can come and see me in Houston next month. I would love to see you there. You can get all sorts of other information on my website for that as well. But I want to end this conversation with the importance of our emotional health. I don't want you to be numb. I don't want you to go through your life being fine. I want you to be better than fine. I want you to have all of the emotions available to you. And sometimes that's sad. And sometimes that's frustrated. And sometimes that's happy and alive. But all of those are what make living this life matter, worth it. All righty, my friends, have an amazing weekend, everyone, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to the Becoming You show with me, your host, Leah Roling, where I share big ideas to inspire, impact, and influence your life. Tune in every Friday at 11 Central on transformationtalkradio.com for your morning cup of coffee, the hug you never want to end, and that inspirational message that you felt was written just for you. Each show is inspiring you to become you with purpose and intention. For more information or to connect with me, visit www.leahroling.com.